The following podcast is intended for mature audiences. If you enjoy our work, please like, comment, subscribe, and follow the links in the description. Thanks for your support, and enjoy.
Greetings and salutations, listeners. I am J. Chucky, joined, as always, by the boy.
Hey!
And I'm very tired.
Pursuant to that, there was a plan to have a specific podcast out this week. That didn't happen. So instead, we're going to be talking about what we did with our weeks. That's mostly going to be white because I did one thing with my week.
I tell you what, my dude. Why don't you lead us off?
Okay. So this week, I mostly, honestly, aside from my day job and such, and various YouTube videos, I played Knights of the Old Republic 2. I beat Knights of the Old Republic, which you'll remember from a previous podcast that I mentioned I was playing. And from another previous podcast, I mentioned I bought Knights of the Old Republic 2 at the same day. Knights of the Old Republic... KOTOR.
Knights of the Old Public.
Yeah, Knights of the Old Public.
Knights of the Old Public.
You know,
Rescue.
we're shortening it to KOTOR because that gets tiring to say after a while. KOTOR 2 is... I'm quickly realizing the game that I remember more. Because as I play through KOTOR 2 more and more, I realized how much more I remember it. And I think the difference is that I played KOTOR 1 on Xbox, and I played KOTOR 2 on PC. So I played KOTOR 2 a lot more because, for various reasons, there was a period of time where I only had a few PC games. KOTOR 2 was one of them, and I played it a lot. I will say that it runs absurdly better than KOTOR 1 does on a modern system, in that it runs.
It doesn't require Frankensteining to get started.
As a matter of fact, I'm glad I finished KOTOR 1 when I did, because now every time I try and open it, it hard locks my computer and I have to restart.
This is not a visual medium. You could not see my really great face just then.
But I beat it. I guess I don't get to do a dark side run. I might try a fresh install at some point. But I'm playing KOTOR 2 with a restoration patch, much like I did KOTOR 1 to cut out cut content. Except for the fact that that means a lot more in Knights of the Old Republic 2 than it did in Knights of the Old Republic 1. Because KOTOR 2 was missing about half of the game, all told.
Which is crazy, because I remember that game being pretty decent sized.
I will put it for you and the listener like this. I got an extra planet that wasn't there before. A whole dang old planet with animations and like video packages where you land and everything. The whole thing.
You know, it's fascinating to think about cut content in games, and without going too deep into the, Wither 2s and Y4s and what would be better and why that's a ridiculous thing to assume. I find it really interesting, especially when stuff is on disc that can be discovered later, how much shit was planned for a game, any given game, and just never made it into the final installment.
Yeah, and here it was a matter of time. I believe they had a solid go gold date, and they didn't have time to finish stuff. And it shows the modding community, the precious modding community. They've done their damnedest. They have done their damnedest to restore all the lost content and to make it as good as they can. But there are some holes. There are definitely some holes where they'll show a little bit of cutscene thing that was pulled out, and it's not quite right because it's not finished. And they did their best. They got the animations there, and where they have voice files, they use those. But with the new planet, either, and I don't know which is which. I don't know which is the case. But either there wasn't any voice work done on it, or it just there wasn't any voice work from any of the main party members done on it. Because all the main party members' dialogue on this extra planet there's very little of it, and what it is just clearly like fun with real audio chop-ups of previous audio files to try and give you a rough idea of what they were supposed to be going on about here. The bots, it's a planet full of droids. Essentially, they were supposed to be a planet after Korriban. Like, you go to Korriban, that's why Korriban's so damn short. It was the prologue for a whole new planet.
I mean, Korriban made up for its shortness by being tough.
It was like hella tough still. But that's why it was short. It was supposed to be the prologue for a different planet.
Interesting.
M478, a planet full of droids. Just the only people on the planet who are organic are the people you bring with you. They do their best, and either fans dubbed over the droids or there were already files with the droids in there. I think it was partially fan dubs. I'm reasonably certain it was, just because of the audio quality and the lack of droid filtering on some of the voices. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So...
I was trying to think of a really good joke about like something a droid wouldn't say in there, but it just wasn't coming together.
Oh, my bag of meat that is me. Oh no, that's something HK-47 would say as a joke.
Yeah, like
to mock you.
I got nothing.
But there's a lot of other little stuff, and while I remember much more of the second game, it's been long enough that I don't know what I don't remember and just what wasn't in there before.
I could have sworn there was a desert planet.
There was not a desert planet. You are thinking of Tatooine in the first game. I
could have sworn there was a whole thing with that was in the second game, but...
I mean, there's the final planet, but you never got there, did you?
No. I did all the planets. Nar Shaddaa was my last one, and both times I played got stopped there for one reason or another.
So, no, there's not a desert planet. Sorry, buddy. But yeah,
maybe there was in my copy.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? But it's actually really fun because there's little bits and pieces, and a lot of the stuff that got cut either was stuff that I just didn't happen to see because I tended not to go back and forth from my ship a lot in previous plays, or it's stuff that got re-added. Is the party has a lot more interactions in between each other.
They do have a lot in the first place, I remember.
And it feels at least like they've got a bunch more, and it's really interesting. I'm playing a lady this time around because, as I understand it, the Exile is canonically a lady, so I wanted to see what that was like. I'm never doing it again because there's one major difference. You get a different party member if you're a lady than if you're a dude, and I like the Handmaiden way more than the Disciple. The Disciple's kind of a chode. Like, he's just really vanilla and boring. The Handmaiden has, like, a cool storyline that's very interesting.
Yeah, I remember really liking the Handmaiden, but not so much on the Disciple.
The Disciple is just your old Padawan from back when you were a Jedi.
Yeah, he was just, like you said, he's really boring. He's not very fleshed out.
And I like the Handmaiden a lot more, because she's got a cool storyline about, accepting yourself, and you can learn special feats from her, and I wanted those.
Power gaming, man. It's a hell of a drug.
But the game itself, it holds up really well. It hasn't reached that point where it stops making sense yet, and I'm hopeful that it won't, because a big part of the cut content is near the end of the game, so I'm hoping that the end of the game will make a little more sense now.
And this is something we as a community, the gaming community, bitches about the DLC. But we also get a lot of free patches. We get bug fixes. We get content updates.
And KOTOR's from an era before that. Bug fixes...
Like in the burgeoning times of that.
Bug fixes and shit like that, that's not a thing KOTOR II got, and you can tell.
No, yeah. and it reminds me of having No Mercy, which is, often lauded as the greatest wrestling game of all time. I don't know if I still agree with that. I think we finally surpassed them with the WWE game before last, but regardless. I had a copy where every now and then it would just delete all of my data.
Because there was something wrong with that particular copy?
Well, because there was something wrong with that entire printing. You know what I could do about it?
Nothing.
Buy another copy after the new release.
Yep.
Which they didn't really have a way to communicate with you about. It's not like buying a car where they take down all your information and then they send you a piece of mail that says, hey, by the way, we left something in your car that might explode if you don't come to the dealership. Could you come to the dealership? It's just, sorry, buddy. Every now and then you're just going to back up your most important creator wrestlers to your memory card if you have one and hope for the best.
And again, there are some issues. I've had to turn settings on and off. I've had to fiddle with stuff, but it runs so much smoother. I still get a little bit of that, like, just calm setting aside and working on shit and slowly workman-like, making my way through these glitches and trying to get the game to run. I get a bit of that, but not as much as KOTOR 1. It just sort of plays like a game does, and that's also nice.
How's old Jolie Bindo? I remember liking him.
He's in KOTOR 1.
Is he?
Yes.
Was he in the first one?
Yes, he was.
Who the hell's in this game?
In this game, you have Kreia.
I remember Kreia.
Eternal bitch. Like, after you play the game through one time, spoilers for really old games, she turns on you.
What?
Yeah.
I knew that. I'm just funning.
But after you play through the game once, you just lose all incentive to make her like you.
Yeah.
She's such an unmitigated bitch the whole time. Because she's trying to push her, like, weird Sith-style neutrality alignment. So she's just like, if this was a Dragon Age game, every single thing you do would be Kreia disapproves.
So she's Morrigan.
No, you could do stuff that Morrigan likes.
Yeah, mostly make fun of Alistair.
Make fun of Alistair, give her presents. Can't even do that with... Literally, as soon as I had a different party member available, I haven't taken her off my ship. She's like level 8 or 10 or something.
See, I kind of liked her, but I don't think I got as far as the backstab. I got as far as the dark side reveal.
For me, she's just constantly insufferable. There's Atton Rand, who is your Han Solo type.
I remember Atton Rand. Atton Rand was cool.
Way better than Karth.
Yes, but I still like Karth.
There is, depending on male or female, you...
Hey, Raphael Sabarge. I'm sure you don't listen to this podcast, but if you happen to be friends with Ultimo Dragon, I love your work.
I mean, he's good. He's just playing a shit character.
No, yeah, he is. Karth's okay. I kind of liked seeing him hinted toward in the rest of KOTOR 2.
Depending on your choices, male or female, you get either the Handmaiden, who, as we've discussed, is cool, or the Disciple, who is vanilla toast.
You get a Mira Luca, too, don't you?
You get a Mira Luca, Visis Mar. She comes in partway through the game. She's cool. Mira Luca in general I find to be cool.
I love using Force Sight with her because it's colored differently.
Yeah.
It's so cool. What a little touch that they didn't need to do,
Mm-hmm. Brain. You get Baudur, who's an Ithorian. Not a Zabrak, even though that's what people remember him as because he looks like a Zabrak. He's an Ithorian. They're very similar looking, as I understand it.
Okay.
I know this because many characters in the game refer to him only as the Ithorian.
I'm going to Google that out of my curiosities. I'm trying to remember who the hell was in my party then, because I never finished HK.
Mira, that's right. Mira the Bounty Hunter, who's frustrating me in my current playthrough because I've played this game a fair amount, and so I know how to make everyone Jedi, aside from the droids. Bowdur's a pain in the ass.
Ithorians are the snail people.
Yeah, I know. They call him the Ithorian. Maybe he's from that planet.
And you know what? I think I remember that being a big, because I wanted him to be cool. He wasn't. He's boring as sin. But I wanted him to be cool. So
I don't find him boring. He's just not demonstrative. He's very quiet. He
really is. He's there. And he's really good at being there. Mm-hmm. But he is just there.
Yeah, that's the thing is he's clearly a Zabrak, but literally everyone in the ship, all the droids referred to him as the Ithorian. I think maybe it's the cut content. Maybe he was supposed to be an Ithorian.
Maybe. Or maybe... Oh, wow, that would make way more sense, actually.
Yeah, because you find him working with the Ithorians on Telos, and he's doing a bunch of stuff with them, and he's...
That would have been cool.
He's clearly very haunted by the loss of life on Malachor 5.
And I'm upset now.
Now you're seeing a version of the game where he's the same guy but Ithorian, so instead of his voice actor, you just have random Huttese. You know what the funny thing is? You know what the best part about that is?
What's that?
That's an actual line. They're saying the actual sentence. Because if you just let it go, it will end, and then they will go to the next sentence automatically.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, like, a lot of it's
But it's
gibberish.
so long.
Like, because...
It takes them so long to say these things.
I remember in the first game, everybody said, Jetta Wada Wana Needy Bobo for everything.
Yeah.
Every
So much
Twi'lek
so-
you ran across.
So much so that Jetta Wada Wana Nini Bobo is
something
in,
I remember like 10 years later.
It's in my brain forever. It will never leave. And Ichuta.
But, so that's, I don't remember, I think I must have had Mandalore and, I don't know, who the hell else I would have had, the Handmaiden probably.
You would not have had... He's not a party member in the second game.
Isn't he?
He shows up on Duxon, but he's not a party member.
I could have sworn you got him.
That
I
is in the
need to-
first game.
No, but like, I could have sworn you got him.
No.
I need to play these games again, dude.
Or at the very least, I haven't gotten him yet and never got him before. There's only one space left on my party member wheel, and that's where the Handmaiden goes. But in any case, you get Bowder. Am I forgetting someone? I feel like I'm forgetting someone.
A bunch of droids.
Oh, and the droids.
Yeah.
HK-47, who you get him at whenever you can find all his parts o'clock. You get the astromech droid from the first game. Who his name escapes me for some reason. My R2 unit, as it were.
Yeah.
And you eventually get
You know he's not an R2 unit, stop.
Yeah, no, do yell at me for that.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Like, I'm not clearly just making it clear that he's an astromech droid. Calm down, nerds.
Yes, nerds.
Exactly.
You're listening to the Two Nerds podcast.
That's exactly right. And eventually you get a Goto droid, one of the big floating doctor droids with a spike. He's also kind of a prick, to be honest. But I've talked about random things about this game I've been playing for like half our podcast. What have you been up to?
Just chilling. All right, everything's better when nerds talk about it.
You don't say the line. I say the line. Talk.
I know. Actually, and I remembered it. I mentioned it at the end of toward the end of last week's Luke Cage podcast, which if you haven't seen, go check it out. That I got into another show pretty much straight after Luke Cage ended. I didn't have enough of my night to do something else, other than maybe catch a couple episodes or something, or YouTube videos. And so I floated into another Netflix series, BoJack Horseman.
Side note, I was so sure that was an Adult Swim show. Like, that it was an Adult Swim show that was on Netflix. No, it's originally on Netflix. Mm-hmm. I don't know what made... But I am 100% sure I've seen that on Adult Swim.
It's like when people used to think that Space Oddity was a Beatles song, or that every parody ever written was done by Weird Al.
Maybe it's just that they're thematically similar to so many Adult Swim shows that I hallucinated it, or my brain filled in a memory that doesn't exist. Brains do that.
Well, I just talked about a bunch of them, so...
But, like, most of those are just confusion. Like,
sure.
It's not that they thought up a new parody song that didn't exist that they thought Weird Al did.
Man, the Sinbad Genie movie, you know?
Yeah.
Someday I'll figure out why I thought that existed. Why I originally thought that existed. Why, as a child, I thought that existed. Not the Mandela effect. Or Mandela effect, I suppose. Mandela effect is what Doctor Strange does in order to cast magics. But,
That's good!
Recovering. I'm just as sleepy as last week, but a little more on the ball. I wasn't expecting to like it. I haven't watched the show because I don't tend to like cynical stuff.
And make no mistake, BoJack Horseman is cynical.
It's not...
I would say, overall, it's only slightly less cynical than Rick and Morty.
Yeah, it's definitely more cynical than Dallas and Robo. If you haven't watched that episode, watch it. And watch Dallas and Robo. Please let those people make another season. It's on YouTube Premium, I think they call it now. You pay YouTube some money and watch John Cena pretend to be a robot and succeed with flying colors.
Well, I mean, it's just so similar to what he is all the time.
I am WrestleBot 9000. Beep boop, you can't see me. But I don't know. Something about it really draws me in. It really reminds me of Californication without so much, kick the dog.
Which is what eventually turned me off that series. I loved the first couple seasons of Californication, but eventually it seems like... So, a lot of very successful writers of things I've seen interviews of have this thing they talk about where they talk gleefully about loving to ruin their characters' lives. And while I understand the desire to make sure your character is given conflict, I do not get the desire to shit upon them from a great height like that. Like happens to Duchovny's character in Californication, whose name escapes me at this point.
Hank Moody.
Yeah, that. It seems like he had his own personal private butt floating around above his head, just constantly pooping on him. BoJack has his own private butt, but he made the butt.
He is his own private butt.
He made the butt. He deserves what happens to him because he's not a good guy.
But it's not as. I would say that BoJack Horseman as a show is a cynical show. It's not portraying things in an optimistic light. And the actions the characters take are unfortunately realistically self-destructive, or often ridiculously self-destructive. But the characters still have hope. And I feel like that's what sets it apart from a lot of other things that I don't like. And it's funny. A lot of the reason I stopped watching Californication was the storylines and the jokes and the plots and stuff just couldn't keep up quality to the floating butt.
Like it drowned under a tide of poo.
Yeah, and I had to tap out eventually. I don't know if I'm going to watch this forever. I finished season 1. I thought it was really good. Really well written, really great character moments. Not every episode was golden, but there were a lot of really funny jokes, really punchy stuff. I dig the art style. It's not like exactly my cup of tea, but it's unique. It reminds me of like a softer Ugly Americans.
Yeah, in that it's not like I can look at it without being mad.
Ugly Americans grew on me after a little while. I really liked that show too. I wish they had done more of it, but
like for me, that show is just like a step above the intentionally hideous Netflix show about teenagers, about like tweens in puberty. Like it is only slightly less hideous than that.
There is a space between those things, and that's anything. Excuse me for probably butchering this. Klasky Supo has ever done. You would know them as the studio that made the Rugrats or Rocket Power or that terrifying Ronald McDonald cartoon.
God, yeah, they have a really specific and strange-looking art style.
Yeah, but it's different. It's not bad. And like the animation is so fluid sometimes. A lot of the visual cues are really interesting, but what I really like about it is the strange way they manage to weave continuity. This is a bingeable series. The plot flows from one episode to the other.
It was like, again, I don't know how I didn't know this. I don't know how I inserted this into another network, because it's only superficially similar to an Adult Swim joint. It's very much a Netflix show.
Yeah.
Because it is one narrative, one big, long narrative, like one of the Marvel Netflix shows.
But they do this thing where there's like this almost ironic, or subversive perhaps, episodic structure to things when that through line is still so really heavy, that main plot through line. And it continues through the seasons too. And I think that's really interesting. Yeah, the best thing I can relate it to is Californication. Anything else is just being inaccurate. This is what if Adult Swim had done Californication instead of HBO. And I kind of dig it. I don't know if I'll watch it forever, but I'll watch it until I'm tired.
Yeah, fewer tits, more weird premises.
Yeah.
What if regular Hollywood, but animals, though? But not all animals. Some regular people, too.
Yeah.
Like, there's BoJack Horseman, the upright, walking, talking horse who wants to play Secretariat.
Who is also an upright, walking, talking horse.
Yes, which I only caught bits of the episodes, so he would occasionally talk about wanting to play Secretariat. That was his dream. My brain was like, oh, he just wants to be a regular horse in a movie? No, okay, Secretariat was like a 70s horse dreamboat, fine. And also, Wallace Shawn is a perfectly normal human who is Wallace Shawn. Shout out to BoJack Horseman, by the way, for maybe being the show which finally lets me remember Wallace Shawn's name. Instead of the inconceivable guy, I think it might finally stick because they cast you as Wallace Shawn, and then my brain went, what? to such an extreme degree that I stopped what I was doing, playing KOTOR II, and moved my computer screen aside to watch BoJack Horseman because I had to see where this was going, and then it was just normal-ass, regular-ass Wallace Shawn, and the show had me from there.
I think my favorite character is Princess Carolyn.
That's the cat, right?
Yeah, his agent.
The cat agent?
Yeah. I don't... it's funny, but I don't care for the storyline of her dating
literally three children. Literally 3 children in a trench coat.
Yeah.
I don't care for it. I enjoy the fact that at least BoJack is the only person who is. This is clearly just 3 children in a.
I love the juxtaposition because he's so out there on everything else, but this is the one thing that he's like, "Am I taking crazy pills?"
Because isn't one of Vincent Adult Man's, I believe his name is, one of his hands is a mannequin hand and the other is a literal broom.
I don't care for the storyline. I love the jokes, but I really liked her in the first half of the first season because I don't know, she was just cool business lady. She was on top of shit. She got shit done. She pulled off a couple of Xanatos gambits. It was cool stuff.
The thing I remember her most for, because I only watched bits and pieces of the show as he was in the room watching it, was, I'm going to go get my whiskers clipped. I run into walls for days, but screw it, I look hot. And that was funny.
Yeah. I really like how they handle anthropomorphized animals and just pointing out the absurdity of what if these people lived in this world, how would they interact with it? And it's just priceless. There's a lot of really deep level puns that they don't hit directly on, and some they do. But I don't know, if you've been avoiding this show because it just looks a little too down, maybe give it a couple of episodes. If you don't like it still, it's not your cup of tea. But it's really popular
at the very
too.
Least,
so
watch one episode so you can hear the banger that is their ending tune.
Yeah. I like the opening theme too. I really like the animation.
The opening theme is very chill and cool, and it's got
it's kind of trippy and
the ending song has literally been in my head since you watched the show.
You at least do yourself the credit of listening to the whole song because Netflix cuts it off
really soon, and so it's just that bit that's in my head over and over and over again. And it's so, I would hate it, except for the fact that it's, really enjoyable and
it's not bad.
Fun.
But other than that, I've been diving into those Steam games I bought. If you remember from the Ballad of Creefus, I purchased Skelemania, which is a fun little Metroidvania-style platformer featuring a skeleton. It was cheap. I recommend it. You get exactly your money's worth, no more, no less. And I finally got around to playing the Game Grumps Dream Daddy, which is to say Dream Daddy, a game produced by and sort of voiced by some of the Game Grumps. This was a labor of love with incredible dialogue, really great writing, and good character moments.
He tells me fun stories about his dad dates.
Yeah.
But I don't find dating sims enjoyable at all, so I doubt I'll ever play that.
Sure, and I suppose my recommendation, both to you and the listener who doesn't want to play a dating sim, find a YouTuber you like who plays it and watch them play it, because there's a lot of mileage in just enjoying the characters. I went with Matt first. Matt is best dad. Still, I beat all of them earlier today. Yes, even that one.
I have no context, but you said that as if it was controversial.
Not controversial, more, yes, I found the the secret ending, quote unquote. No, not that secret ending. The other one, the real one. But I had fun with it. I enjoyed every route to some extent. Even the guys I was originally kind of like, I don't want to date this guy. This guy's kind of a jerk. Or, I don't want to date this guy. He's my college roommate, and I don't think we have that relationship. I can't wrap my head around this. I'm sorry. But it was fun. Just, like, really great dialogue, really great moments. Even for a dating sim, it's not the best put-together game in the world. They did a fine job for their first outing, but it does reek of first outing. But the story and the writing are top-notch. So, I would recommend it. And that's been my week. Skeletons, dads, and horsemans.
Mine was Star Wars and a light dusting of horsemans.
Are there horse aliens? I think there are in Star Wars.
There's gotta be. There's every kind of damn alien.
Let's end this with a little Googling with the two nerds.
Yeah, this is good entertainment. Fuck it. If you're still here, you're down for whatever we're willing to do.
Star Wars.
Horse alien.
Oh, horse thing. Okay, hold on.
No, that's...
those are the ones from the... That's not what I wanted. I want like a BoJack. Here we are, yes. There's Hohas Ekwesh, who's a character.
In what? What is this regular person with a horse head slapped on top?
It says he's a Thokwash, but they look different.
I don't know, dude. Look at the actual Thokwash animation.
Yeah.
Like, look at the actual picture. That's pretty much a horse.
Yeah, maybe I was just looking at it. It's from the New Jedi Order era. So, also known as Runt.
Go down to appearances, homie. I want to know what this thing is from.
I'm sorry. I'm getting into it, okay? X-Wing Wraith Squadron, X-Wing Iron Fist.
He's an X-Wing character.
X-Wing Solo
There is
Command.
There is a BoJack.
There is a BoJack. So, now you can turn the show off.
Yep, everything's better when nerds talk about it.